And welcome again. We're just about to be ready. In a few hours we will have lunch. And one of the important things in an informal meeting is that we have the time and the possibility to have discussions of which there's no room in the formal meeting in Brussels or Luxembourg. So I have the hope that we can have a bridge-building discussion about how to make sure that the EU of 27 is actually working. Because as you know, we have the group of 10 with people out of the euro, 17 within the euro, 23 the Euro Plus Pact, 27 the Fiscal Compact, and of course EU of 27. So we are adding complexity. And of course what we need to do is to make sure that we stay together as EU as 27. Second important debate is the debate about the economic situation. And of course I think that you can feel as well that there's a slight change of atmosphere because of the very important steps taken by the ECB. There is room for making sure that we're actually doing what we said that we want to do, which is to consolidate and make sure that each country is on track. And I do hope that the debate today will show the very strong commitment from member countries to fulfill obligations and to make sure that decisions once taken and the reform of the Growth and Stability Pact that will actually do these things. Even though, of course, this is controversial decisions, you know the debate about Hungary in the last ECOFIN meeting, but that is the way that we have to go in order to build up trust, not only with financial markets, but also in our electorates, with businesses, and on the basis of that stronger trust in countries actually knowing what they're doing to make big businesses invest and to make consumers spend, which is important if we want growth to come back in a European context. And this, of course, will pave the way for more formal decision when we meet the next time. But I think that is the strength of a meeting like this, that we can build stronger relationships and thereby also enhancing new decisions. I'll be happy to take a few questions if anyone has
Minister, what's the state of the discussions on the firewall?
Well, since I'm here and the Eurogroup are still in the meeting, I don't know.
What do you make of that whole debate, though? Is your recommendation, if you had one, for them to do as much as possible right now while they have a chance? What would you recommend?
Well, I think it's very important that the Eurogroup do exactly what they have been doing for the couple of months, and that is to take the political leadership of crisis management within the Euro countries. And I don't think that you can ever make the market satisfied. What you have to do is to say, this is what we think will do it. This is the height, the width and the length of the firewall. This is the political decision and this is the end of the discussion.
But still no agreement. But the question, in your view, should it be rather higher or lower? Overshoot and overimpress, or undershoot and come back later and do it again?
Well, I think it's important that the debate is brought to a conclusion, also because there is a global debate here. Of course, the European economies are vulnerable, but the global economy is vulnerable as well. And I think the debate and hopefully the conclusions today can lead forward to a decisive and very good meeting in the G20 in Washington late April.
How much of a risk are high oil prices to European growth strategy?
Well, it's a balance, of course, but since there is a strong commitment also to work with renewables and to make sure that as a growth component will play its part in job creation, I think that we'll be less vulnerable to oil prices in the future. But of course, right now, seeing oil prices coming up, I do hope that that will strengthen the focus on green growth and being more independent from oil prices.
Because there's a risk now that inflation is rising when we expected it to fall.
Of course, that's always a risk, but it's not that great as we see it. As you know, in Denmark we made a very far-reaching agreement to focus on renewables exactly for these reasons, because we do not want to be in the hands of raising or falling oil prices with that instability which follows it.
Okay, just to get back to the firewall, just between you and me, how's the discussion going in there? I mean, are they very much apart?
Well, as I said, since I'm here and they are there, I don't know.
But could you give us a little idea of how things are going in there?
No.
As the chairman of the EU?
No.
No? You
No.
don't want? Or
No,
you don't know?
and if it in any matter would work to be frustrated about it, I would be frustrated. But it doesn't help because they have their debates, and I'm quite sure that they will reach a conclusion.
They will reach a conclusion today, you expect?
Well, I do hope so because I think that was the ambitions of the meeting. Yes.
What is going to make a new business between China and Denmark?
China and Denmark?
Yes.
Well, that is a question which will not be on the table of the ECOFIN today. But I'll be happy to come back to it in another circumstance. No, welcome.
Minister, back to the firewall, if I may, just one last time. Do you feel that there's a consensus building today going on so that we can actually reach a common figure? Because this morning we heard some different figures coming from different countries. Some people think it's too high, some think it's not enough. What do you believe that we're going to have a consensus?
Well, as you put it yourself into word, it's a question of belief because firewall it doesn't seem to be a question of a solid knowledge about what will work. And I think the most important thing that Euro countries can do today is to take a decision so that we doesn't have to keep on discussing whether one number is better than another number, better than a third number with this source or that source or a fourth source coming into the picture.
On the regulatory front tomorrow, what's a priority in the legislative area of Mr. Barnier? Is it the bail-in, the failing bank proposal? Have you been discussing that? Are there any issues in particular that you want to drive forward tomorrow?
Yes, we're going to have a discussion about financial resolution. I think it has been talk of town or the European coffee automats. People have been exchanging views as how to handle this. Some countries have moved ahead. Denmark, for instance, have a scheme of how to make sure that we have financial resolution. And I think that the debate that we have tomorrow can pave the way for a concrete proposal from the Commission. And of course it concerns how to handle it, bail-ins, processes in order to have a European level playing field.
When do you expect a proposal during the Danish presidency from the Commission on this?
We would hope so, yes. Of course there is a tricky debate on timing when it comes to this proposal. But since the debate has been around for quite some time, I think that the time is just about to mature, and I do hope that the Commission will make it before the Danish presidency is over.
We are talking about alternatives for the financial transaction tax today. Is this the end of the full-fledged solution which was proposed by the Commission?
Well, so far we have sort of a two-track strategy. Because I think it's the best thing to do to make sure that every question is asked and every question is answered when it comes to the Commission proposal on financial transaction tax. But it is as important that we sort of develop a second track discussion trying to find alternatives, because no matter what you think about financial transaction tax, I think there is a strong agreement that the financial sector have to contribute to crisis resolution, and it's important that financial sector is well regulated, because we do not want financial sector to be the cause of new crisis as we saw it in 2008. So we will try to fold out alternatives, and from a presidency point of view we'll try to collect ideas and then to make a platform for a discussion about alternatives.
There have been a discussion in Germany that the EMS Pact is not according to the Constitution in terms of giving away sovereignty of the Parliament. Would you support, and is there going to be discussion about having referendums throughout the EU countries on the EMS Pact?
Well, that being a completely internal affair in each country, because each country have to act according to his or her constitution, I don't think that's a question for the ECOFIN. Okay? Yeah.
I have a couple of questions concerning countries outside of Eurogroup. Do you think that the EU countries outside of Eurogroup should participate in these Eurogroup meetings? And then another question about the EBRD. What is your opinion? Who should be the next leader of the ERBD?
Well, we haven't, from a Danish point of view, we haven't put our head in one direction when it comes to candidate to the ERBD. So that is not settled yet from a Danish point of view, and of course not been settled in the discussion between the countries who have voting rights. Of course, it's not only a EU question, it's a European question because it's broader. And the first thing, I forgot your question. Could you repeat it?
Would you like to participate in these Eurogroup meetings?
Well, then I would have to ask the Danish population and the Danish voters if they wanted Denmark to be within the euro, and I don't see that not today, not this month, and maybe not in the very near future. I think that it's important to respect that Eurogroup, they have an agenda which is special for them. You can also see it in the fiscal compact. But what is important is that decisions doesn't sneak in the Eurogroup meeting when it's decision which is of concern of all 27. And I think it's important to bridge between different interests. And one of the things that I myself are very preoccupied with is the fact that, for instance, Denmark have very strong interest with some Euro members, very strong interest with non-Euro members. So actually it's not just 10 versus 17. It is still crisscross, and we have to make sure that we have the right bridges built.
Have the discussions today been influenced by yesterday's events in Madrid and Barcelona?
Well, I think that everybody is concerned, not only with events in Spain, but in any country, because the political responsibility taken in these months and years in order to consolidate and stop building up debts has consequences for citizens all over Europe. So, of course, that influences the responsibility that I think every minister feels in this debate. Of course, it's an important point that consolidation, and to do it in a growth-friendly manner, exactly has the goal and the points of focus in job creation and renewed growth in a European context.
Danish banks were penalized in the funding markets last year after 2 banks failed. Are you nevertheless going to push for bail-ins?
Well, we're quite happy with the system that we have because we think that it is keeping the financial sector healthy, making sure that governors in banks have to make sure that they can face their shareholders in this respect. And from a Danish point of view, we think that it has been hard, yes, but it has also been successful in making it a sort of a very serious thing to keep your bank in order.
Yet Folketinget has twice amended the bank package or added to the bank package since the bail-in provision because of dissatisfaction with the outcome.
Yeah, well, we have changed our bank packages a number of times. It is still a revenue for the Danish state. National banks in Denmark have paid themselves most of it. And the last package that we made actually wasn't a change in that, but a change in how to prevent banks from failing if they have healthy components. Because, of course, what we don't want to see is that things that are healthy, well-driven, which is sort of in line as where they should be, that they should fall. You're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hvis nu det bliver besluttet, at redningsfonden skal udvides, vil det så betyde noget for, hvad Danmark kommer til at bidrage med i den forbindelse?
Nej.
Danmark kommer ikke til at bidrage mere, uanset hvad Eurogruppen beslutter nu her?
Nej, vi er slet ikke en del af det. Vi er heller ikke en del af firewall. Hvis det utænkeligt skulle ske, at Danmark fik problemer, så ville det heller ikke være den EU-firewall, der hjælper os.
Okay.